I've loved gardening for a long time. I love to grow stuff, and I was tired of sitting in front of a computer and working everyone else's schedule instead of my own. So I just really wanted to do my own thing, and thankfully I'm in a position that I actually am able to do that. So I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, I just want to grow stuff. So my name is Jennica Taylor. I'm with Daisy and Dill Red Deer, and my, I guess, big thing this year has been to change grass into garden. So I'm primarily converting people's front yards into productive growing spaces, and it's been a great adventure. I live right across the street from a nursing home, from a lodge, and I met this little grandma who was across the street. She rolled out in her wheelchair quite often and yelled across the street at me, "I like your flowers." It's like, "Oh, thank you." And I was like tending tomatoes, so it wasn't a lot of flower power, but then she yelled again, "They're really nice." And it's just like, okay, it warmed my heart. So I picked her a little flower that I had in the yard and took it over, and that was the start of our little friendship. And so Helen is really the reason behind all of this. So she loved growing flowers when she was on the farm, and you know, life happens, she's moved into town, she's in the lodge, whatever. But I would often cut her a little bouquet, take it over and have a little visit, and it was just a real spark of joy for both of us. You know, it brings a smile to their face, it warms my heart, and again, like the community building, that shared joy that these gardens can have for us is, you know, we just need to tap into that. There's so much there.
So coming to Red Deer, there wasn't a lot of organic grocery stores or anything, so you know, I was very interested in starting a garden, and but I also knew that it was a lot of work, digging up the sod and creating a space that I could grow a garden here. So when I was visiting my friend, Jennica was living next door, and I saw what she was doing in her yard, and just the amount of work that she put into it and the amount of passion. She was turning hers into mostly a flower garden, but my friend had said that she was thinking of, you know, doing other gardens in other people's yards, and I had just commented if she was ever interested in doing that, that I would be most interested in offering my yard. And she said, "Yeah, I'd like to use your yard." I said, "Great." She said, "I'll do up a little design." She did. We met. I loved it, and it probably took about a half an hour, and we were both on board. From there, so she had to. I wasn't familiar with lasagna gardening, and when she explained it to me, it sounded like the best opportunity with the least amount of work. So we picked a date, got some cardboard, big kind of refrigerator contained, you know, that refrigerators came in, so nice thick cardboard, and covered the whole half of my front yard. She fortunately had access to compost and soil from her father, and also access to a trailer that could deliver it. So she pulled up, we put the cardboard out, my husband helped, and then a few days later she pulled up with this great big trailer and turned it around in the middle of the road and backed it into our yard, and we started shoveling, and that's where it began.
So basically this year it's been really a vision, and then they have come to me. I've approached a couple of folks just with the idea of we've kind of chatted back and forth, and they've been excited about the idea of doing a front yard garden, but never been able to make it happen. And then it's just been word of mouth through friends of friends, and there was an article in the paper explaining a little bit more about front yard gardening, and then there was 2 others that approached me saying, hey, this would be cool to do. So we made that happen.
The project seemed very simple and easy. The relationship between the 2 of us, we felt free to comment or ask for what we needed, and as far as I was concerned, there really was no hiccups. It was kind of a seamless project where, sometimes she'd have to bring her kids with her because she didn't have babysitting, and, I'd take them and go and play with them for a bit so she could get what she needed done. I guess I was always asking her what she wanted me to do, because she had a very clear idea of how she wanted the lasagna garden to be. So I was checking in with her a lot about why she was doing things the way she was, if she needed me to do something differently. So I would say we had no problems. I think we both shared a vision of what producing our own food could be, and we were sitting out on our front deck, and people would be walking by and stopping and talking. They would be coming and looking in the garden. I'd invite them in to have a look, and we'd start eating a few things out of there. Met many neighbors that I had no idea who they were, and we had the mayor of Red Deer stop by one day because he walks by here every morning, so he got to see it. And I had so many people just stop and say, oh yeah, I walk by here every morning, and I saw that article in the Red Deer Advocate, and is this the garden? And so I think it created a lot of interest in urban gardening.
So as far as homeowner involvement and perception, I mean, no one's going to invite me to come convert their grass to garden if they're not 100% on board with having a really productive growing space to being different in the neighborhood as far as front lawns go, and as if they're not willing to have some sort of participation in the project. So primarily what I'm asking is that they keep up with watering, do the odd weeding. I'm not asking them to spend 3 hours every day weeding. I don't make my gardens to be that weedy, but I need to be able to access their place whenever I'm coming by during daytime hours. And then if they are, if they're going to be away for a period of time, I expect that they would let me know so then I can look after it for them in the absence. And their response has been phenomenal. I mean, everybody that I've been working with so far has been really excited about food production, changing our neighborhoods to be more productive rather than just a green grass kind of a look. And so they've been really willing to jump in and tackle it with me.
Well, I think it generated a lot of interest in urban gardening, and I had a few people comment and say that they really would like to do the same thing, and weren't familiar with the lasagna gardening, where you don't have to dig up your soil, you don't have to dig up your grass. You can just put the cardboard right on top and carry on from there. And then hopefully maybe even this year or next year, as the grass is killed by the cardboard and the dirt on top of it, then you can begin to grow more root vegetables and things. So for right now, the first year you have to stick to more things that grow on top.
So the food, my goal would be for it all to be consumed locally. So in people's front yards, I am providing them with a food basket every week from the collective produce from the gardens. And then after that, I'm selling it off to market so that other locals can enjoy it. And it's just so that we can increase our food security, sovereignty, I guess, is kind of another term that floats around out there. But yeah, just to reduce our food miles, to increase our food security, and get back to nature. How much we grow locally and whatever, it's been fun that way. I've been pretty well received. I've had several repeat customers, so that's been really fun. And yeah, it's slowly coming.
Yeah, so within restaurants, I've always believed that supporting local and small businesses is always more important. Everyone has a story about a local farmer's market or a local producer that they really love and enjoy. And being able to be in what's still referred to as like the breadbasket of Canada, like the prairies are so agriculturally heavy in everything that they do business-wise and all the fertile lands around here. It just made total sense to actually look into getting a system in place where we support local businesses and local producers and farmers. So at the moment we run a cooperative of farmers which is about 14 strong, and that ranges from flour to vegetables, fruits, meat, produce. Even some of our pottery and some of our plates are from a local producer out in Sylvan Lake. And everywhere that we can, we make sure that we support anyone local, and we're also using that as a vehicle to really sing about these local producers, because they always need help. They're always the underdog, and call me a sucker, but I've always loved an underdog story. Last summer, Jennica reached out through social media and basically told me about her vision with Daisy and Dill. And as we were already supporting a bunch of local farmers and producers, I immediately snapped up the chance. I went to her house here in the city, looked around some of the gardens she had pre-planned, some of the seed planting she had, and we basically just got on really well. We're good friends. We talk probably weekly about produce primarily, and all the stuff that's happening this year. Last week I also sat down with her to make a seed plan for us this year, which basically means that there will be a garden within her system that will just supply Occam's razor. And that will also help us regulate food wastage. We're able to plan for the rest of the menus. So with her new greenhouse that she also has now, she can grow basically year round, which also means that we're able to put her on the menu and her products on the menu year round as well.
We are in the winterized greenhouse that Green Igloo has been building and experimenting with through the winter. So I started back in the fall being able to help build the greenhouse and then to winterize it so that we could do some growing all through winter time. I made the connection with Reagan through my front yard gardening. So she saw an article or post about me and my
my front yard garden stuff, and so she wanted to have her yard made into a garden, which is awesome. And then later on through the season, she told me that she's the executive director of Green Igloo, which is amazing. And turns out that they are all about growing food security and increasing food sovereignty by growing locally.
So my name is Reagan Solodky. I'm the executive director of Green Igloo, which is a not-for-profit with charitable organization status. We build greenhouses across the country in remote communities. So Green Igloo started out in 2015 as a student project at what is now called Toronto Metropolitan University by building some geodesic dome greenhouses in Nunavut. The idea was to use new technologies and to put in hydroponics towers in these greenhouses to help people with food security. So personally, I have worked in northern food security since 2015 as well. However, I was in Inuvik in the Northwest Territories. And the thing that I had learned, aside from folks from Toronto moving up to the north, is that electricity is expensive. What costs 13 cents a kilowatt hour in the south costs 79 to 90 cents a kilowatt hour in the north. So having an electrical-based greenhouse project doesn't work as well. I took over Green Igloo in 2021 when I moved south, and now we're looking at moving back from hydroponics more into a soil-based approach. People realized over the pandemic that there was a lot to be said for that soil-based therapy, getting in there, getting your hands dirty, and also growing your own food. And not just growing lettuce and spinach and kale and things that can grow hydroponically. Now, I know the argument is you can grow a lot of things hydroponically, but there's a lot to be said for the potatoes and the carrots and the onions and the beets and the turnips. These are things that are heavy and take up a lot of space on trucks and on planes going to remote communities. So we've kind of switched over in the last year and a half to building more greenhouses focused on lower power in greenhousing, using passive solar, using drip irrigation, mostly gravity fed, and trying to find ways to extend seasons using insulation, using thermal mass, and sometimes using small heaters just so that we can keep going and grow throughout the year. I moved to Red Deer in June of last year, and because I'm the executive director, the home office, the head office of Green Igloo moved with me, and so now I'm based out of Red Deer, and so is Green Igloo, even though our corporate office is still in Toronto.
She's also super aware of stuff like permaculture, progressive agriculture, and understanding that the systems in place with some larger of the agricultural sector may need to shift. And she's using us as a basis of that kind of business model, that you can have good seasons of produce, bad seasons of produce, but you don't force the products themselves to grow by the ways of, heavy fertilizer or pesticides, insecticides, and have that permaculture system, but also make it open and transparent enough that a restaurant like ourselves can still plan menus, 2 seasons in the future, and have that leeway to pivot if we so need to as well.
So, what did you think of her business model, growing produce on the front lawns of people's homes? How did that strike you?
I think it's a super smart idea. Like, a lot of people these days, especially when it comes to summers and springs, a lot of people may not have enough time to do a lot of their own lawn maintenance. And the idea that you can grow products and food that the city can enjoy itself under the city city limits is amazing, because all of a sudden you're reducing food miles to block sizes. There are free gardens within a 5-block radius of here, I believe, that she did last year, and I think she's planning more. And there's not many times that you're lucky enough to kind of say to a customer that, oh, you really enjoy these onions, these carrots, these beetroots. If you look outside the window and look left, you can see the garden they're grown in. It also gives us a lot more accountability when it comes to products as well. We're able to say to guests that we understand the farmer, we know where it came from, we know how it's grown, we understand the thesis of how it's grown, everything that she stands for and how it kind of aligns with us and our business model as well. And it just really helps when you have a small cooperative of producers and farmers that are also understanding the same problems you have, and everyone, it's more of a personal base. Like, I know all of the suppliers by name, we speak pretty regularly, and it's that kind of customer service and that understanding between us all that really helps push forward the fact that, like, you know, local support is better, in my opinion, because of those kind of rules where you're able to give them a text or they give you a call and you can get all the information you need. You can have any extra information. They can also grow interest in things for you. So this year coming, for example, myself and Jennica have been talking about growing hot peppers to make our own hot sauces. These are different peppers that have been crossbred from different producers and are things that you would kind of more struggle to find as a basic supplier for these goods.
Are there any other types of vegetables you'd like to see grown, maybe things that aren't common here in Alberta?
I think for the most part, most root vegetables are covered. There are a couple of things that, because I have a traditional European and French cookery side to me, because I have more of that European and French side, I have a couple of root vegetables that I would like to see more available for that sense. Celery roots, parsnips, different kinds of beetroots, and also a different array of potatoes and tubulars. Also cauliflower, so like Romanesco and things like that. These are all things that the province itself can grow pretty well. Like, they grow well in these kind of harsher conditions. But it's also understanding that as a business model, they need to make money off of what they're growing. And if there's no call for those things, there's no point in growing those things. So with working with Jennica especially, being able to use these products and actually showcase them for what they're worth, we're able to kind of show people what they are, how they can use them, and how good they can taste, to hopefully get more people involved in wanting to have them. And that means that there's more chance of them being grown throughout the city and throughout the province, because there is now a need for it.
And over here I've got lettuce, carrots, green onions, beets, romaine lettuce, cauliflower and broccoli, kale, and leeks. And we have had a great amount of success, I would say, in our first season here in the winter greenhouse. And I mean, over 3 kilos of salad is, like, if you think about the great big bags of spinach at the grocery store are 1 kilo. So we've had 3 of those come out of these bins, and most of that has actually been harvested from 3 bins. Because obviously the garlic is filled up with one, and then there's been carrots and the cauliflower and beet and broccoli in the other. So it's been a really great thing to see how much food we can get out of a really small growing space. I mean, these bins are not quite 2 by 3, so times 3, you know, you're looking at 6 by 12-ish, and you know, you would have had enough salad to supplement every week for sure. And of course that can be scaled up and intensified again so that you could have more production too. So that's a little bit about the winter things, and we're kind of switching gears here now. It is getting warm, and so we are looking ahead at selling some strawberries, which is all of these little guys up here, and some salad planters you can see down there. So we are looking at doing a bit of a fundraising plant sale here in a couple weekends between Green Igloo and Daisy and Dill, and that will be a partnership sale just to raise awareness and to raise some funds for each of our summer endeavors. So that's kind of what we've got going on in here, but soon we'll have it even more filled with more tomatoes and more herb planters I've got stuck in my house right now, but they'll be coming over here pretty soon as well. So yeah, yesterday I had the great opportunity, I had a 4-H group come in here, and we had kids, I think aged like 7 or 8 up till probably 13, 2014. They all came in just to see what season extension is all about, and so we had a great conversation, lots of good questions from these kiddos, and so they were able to harvest a bunch of my spinach and things that are ready. So that's why things look a little bare right now, but it was really good. We had lots of conversation about what you can do to extend the season here in Alberta, and how much room there is on our shoulder seasons to utilize for food production. So simple structures such as this little hoop house, the planta, you can even just use something really basic like the floating row cover, or just even a plastic hoop. You can drape it over something, and that's going to increase that little zone by 1 to 2 growing zones typically is what you'll achieve with that. So I mean that just leverages our sunshine. It leverages the space that we already have that otherwise wouldn't really be usable at this point. So there's lots that we can do, and lots more to learn, and lots more to grow.
Gonna set up a meeting to look at where we're gonna go next, and I know she's expanding a bit, but into a couple other places. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I'd get up every morning and go out in my pajamas and pick weeds, and it took me maybe 20 minutes every second day to pick weeds, and I'd have my cup of coffee, and people would be walking by, and so it created a real sense of community, that I was part of a community, rather than, if I'd just been in my backyard, the only thing, I'd see the odd person walking in the alley. But this way it created interest. People were able to learn about it. I'd always invite people up and have them come and talk to them about what Jennica's plan was, and yeah, I think it created a lot of interest, and people stopped and talked to each other, which it wouldn't have happened before.
We can all front yard garden. We can all take steps to green our city even more. I mean, I feel like Red Deer's done a really great job of being a pretty green city and making good effort in looking after our environment. But we can all do a little bit more, and whether that's growing a bit more of your own food, or whether that's providing a microhabitat in the form of a garden, flower garden, veggies, mixed, whatever. All of the plants that we have in our yards work to create the habitat as a whole. And so if you have a yard that's converted to growing productive plants, what you are in effect doing is creating a microhabitat and even a microclimate in some cases. And so when we do these things, then we give the birds and the bees and the little bugs and all those microbes a better environment to live in, which then as a whole we get to benefit we get a greater benefit out of that, and so then it just contributes to our ecosystem. And so I would encourage everybody to do a little bit more of that. And Daisy and Dill, I mean, let's just keep planting, keep growing, and eating those veggies.